Okay, so for this question, this is from section 1.1, question 1, and we have cookies are sold singly or in packages of 11 or 33. So singly, that means one at a time, or 11 or 33. So it wants to know how many ways can we buy 66 cookies. So you can get one at a time, 11 at a time, or 33 at a time. So the best way I would try and solve this is trying to make some sort of chart to kind of organize my thoughts. Now overall for all of these problems, you might solve it differently. Totally fine. This is a problem solving chapter, so we're just looking at different ways that we can try and get through these problems. So you might want to draw a picture, make a table, make the problem smaller. There's a bunch of different ways that you can get through these. But the first thing that I think about is okay, I need a total of 66, and so how can I get there? Well, if I'm starting with my singles, I could just have 66 singles. That's one way. And so then I wouldn't have any of those guys. Now, if I want it to be 66, like trying to use some other combos, I can't make this 65 because there's no way that these will be able to fill that in. So I'm kind of counting down. Okay, so what's the next number? Well, I can only use one of those maybe, and that uses up 11, which 66 minus 11 equals 55. So I could have 55 singles. So that's kind of the next thing that I'm thinking. Then I could have maybe, let's see, kind of continuing on with that idea. Well, maybe I had one of those 33s. So if I had one of those 33s, that would leave me with 33. So I can make that as 33 singles. So far, just thinking about my ways, I've been one way, two way, three ways. Okay, so we're trying to get through all the different combos. And I can't think off the top of my head like a fast way that I would go about doing this. I would just try and go through and see if I could find all the different ways, all the different possibilities. So I'm looking at, okay, well, what about I did one of the 11s and one of the 33s. So what if I did two of the 11s? If I did two of the 11s, that would use up 22. And so I would have 44 left over. So I could have 44 singles with that. And that would use 0 of the 33. So I'm kind of just using singles and 11s or singles and 33s. That's kind of my strategy that I'm thinking about right now. And so if I used two of the 33s, that would use up 66, which would mean I would actually have none of those and none of the singles. And so again, counting my little ways over here at 4 and then 5. And you just kind of keep continuing this, trying to find all of them. Now, just a little reminder, if you're like thinking about for an exam, like, what would I do? How do I figure this out? Well, really, it's your thought process that I'm concerned with. Yes, I want you to get the right answer, and on my math lab, that's kind of what's happening. Is it's forcing you to try and get the right answer. But for exams and other little quizzes, things like that, I want you to be able to show your work. And so making a table like this is awesome, and you would get a lot of points on an exam if this was for an exam, for instance. Okay, so let's try and bump this up. Let's try 3 of the 11s, that would use up 33. So 6 minus 33 leaves me with 33. So I'm going to have 33 singles in there. And that would be 0 of those guys. Now I can't have 33 or 3 of the 33s. That would be too much. So I know I can't have that going on. So now I can kind of think about, all right, well, what about some different combos of the 11s and 33s? So if I can only have one 33, because 2 used them all up, then that would use up 33. So I know that 66 minus 33 leaves me with 33, but instead of doing singles, I could try and do one of the 11s. And so if I do one of the 11s, that's going to be 33 minus 11, which is 22. So then I would need 22 singles. Now I'm noticing that 22 can actually be split up with some more 11. So again, I'm going to do one here, but this time I'll use up 2 of those. So I have 66 minus one of the 33s minus 22 for the 2 11s. And so that's going to be equal to 11. So I could have 11 singles. So hopefully this makes sense. This is just one way to kind of think through it. And so I'm seeing that if I have one of the 33s, then I could do 3 of the 11s, which use up 33, and then I would have 0 of the singles. So I'm counting up the number of ways that this can happen. I'm up to 9 different ways. So let's see. Something else I could think about. I did 1 with 11 already. So I'm just kind of looking back at my work. There's 1 and 1. And so is that the only things that could happen? If I have 111, that again leaves me with 55. I can't have more than 133. So that's all I can have is either 033s or 133. Okay, so I did that. And then I tried 2 11s. So looking over now at 2 11s. So that would use up 22. So still thinking, trying to make sure I found all the different possibilities. So we know that the 66 minus the 22 was 44. So there's enough singles that it could actually turn into a package of 33. And so if you look down here, we already had that example going on here where we used one package of the 33s. But if we use up one package of the 33s, that would leave us with 11. And so really we could have made another package, which you can see that's going on right here. So then the next thing I'd want to do is, okay, well, it looked like we got all the different ways we could use the 33 really. So then let's go and try and do some more packages with the 11. So we did, actually, we skipped the 3s. So I had gone about the 3 on the bottom, and so then we could also have the 3 with 0 of the 33s. So let's bump that up and look at having 4. So if we have 4 11s, which we could, 66 minus 44 gives us 22. We could have 22 singles with that and 0 of the 33s. Or we could have, let's bump this up, can we do 5? That would use up 55, so 66 minus 55 gets me 11. So I get 11 singles there and still 0 33s. So we're moving up in the number of ways. We got 10, 11, and let's see. We could do, I guess, all 6 of the 11s. That would use up all 66. So we'd have 0 of those and 0 of those. And so that gets us 12. And there's no more we could do because we can't use any more 11s. So we used up all the different ways that we could use the packages of 11. So there we go. A little bit of trial and error and going through it, but hope that helps.